Yeah, more Pathfinder figurines. In the background, though, you might see this sexy little beast, but yeah. Apparently this is we're using it as a paladin, although I've never seen kind of janky ass paladin. But anyways, welcome to Loki deck profile. Loki, Judgment of 2 blue, 1 colorless, energizes for blue. This is also the alternate alt version of this card, which is fantastic. Comes with the beautiful Fenrir, her little lapdog, and then upon flipping over, doing Judgment, Loki, the Witch of Chaos. Divinity of 10, you may pay 2 less for awakening cost of spells you control. Where basically this idea for this deck, you're going to see in a second, is only going to revolve around very few cards. So I'm going to stick Loki up here in the corner. Now, I will go with the sideboard, something very, very different. And on the sideboard, I currently only have 5 cards, but ideally you want to at least do 2 versions of these cards. So you want to do... So, Sutter, the Explosion Giant, is the first sideboard card. Is it a giant sand? 1800, 1200. Doesn't matter what the cost is, we're going to be cheating it in. Barrier total cost of 4 or less. With swiftness, put 2 Fire Moon Addition tokens into the field. This card deals 400 damage multiplied by the number of additions you control to target Resonator. The discard ability, the pay fire, we really don't care about. Next one is Tro, Giant of Destruction. 1000, 1800 defense. Barrier 4 or less. Whenever this card blocks, recover it. Put the top card of your Magic Stone deck into the field. Rest it upon entering. Search your deck for a Resonator with total cost 1 or less. Reveal it and put it into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. Boom. Again, more giants. Barrier again. Enter, you may rest target your Resonator if it doesn't recover during its controller's next recovery phase. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck and put any number from among them into the graveyard. Put the rest on top of your owner's deck in any order. Draw a card. This one I love. Fantastic. Garda, 1200, 1800. Again, barrier to 4 or less with Bane. Enter, discard target J Resonator. Your opponent discards a card. You lose. Destroy target J Resonator. Your opponent discards a card. You lose 400 life. And finally, we have Angerbow, the Giant of Setting Sun. 1400, 1700. Again, barrier to 4 or less. Destroy target J Resonator or you gain 1,000 life. You gain a life. Or addition, you gain 1,000 life. Now the key to keep in mind with all of these is that if it says destroy target Resonator, you must destroy target Resonator. So if your opponent has nothing on the field, you need to be able to do all of these abilities, and you're going to have to do them on your own Resonator. So when it's upon entering, you have to destroy a target Resonator. So you might end up destroying one of your own. So that is something to keep in mind. Now, with that, with the sideboard, I recommend having at least 2 copies of each in your sideboard because we're going to be cheating them in. And that kind of gives away the deck that I have for you guys today. Now, with that in mind, I'm going to give you guys the bare bones of this deck, and everything else is literally filler. That includes the runes as well. So, I'll actually point out the runes next. First up, we have our carry, Neo Ragnarok. You may pay 7 less to play this card from a rune area. So there's a 2 blue, 2 hard blue. You may put any number of giant resonators with any different names from outside the game into the field. So this right here is how we're going to be getting our giants out onto the field. Yay, big giants. Power of Immortality. You may pay 1 less to play this card from a rune area. So essentially 1 darkness. Target Resonator gains plus 400, and when it is put into the graveyard from the field, put it into the field rested under its owner's control until the end of the turn. Freed from the altar, 1 darkness. Search your deck for a darkness Resonator, reveal it, put into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. You lose 400 life. Invitation, great card. I love this one. 2 blue. Search for any card, put it into your hand, and here is the filler. Honestly, could not think of anything, so I just put the Returning of the God. If you control Loki, you may pay 2 less, so you 1 blue, 1 colorless. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. You may put a resonator with total cost of X or less from among them into the field, where X is the number of magic stones you control. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any random order. I threw this one just as a heck to try it out because literally it's a filler, and deck is, in case you haven't already noticed, deck is really going to revolve around darkness and blue, and because we're throwing in darkness, we're going to be ramping up a lot of stones. And with that being said, I'm going to point out the stone combination, and it's very, very different. So in order to play off the stone ramping, in order to work in our favor with the fact that we want to have majority blue stone to be able to play most of our cards, we have 14 blue, and we have 6 in gorgeous anime art. 2 of them, unfortunately, only have 2 of these in gorgeous anime art. But anyways, we have 6 darkness stones. The reason why is because a 14-to-6 ratio, I always want to draw my blue stones, and I always want to ramp my darkness stones. So the less chance of me having to draw out the darkness stones, the more of a chance I have them to ramp them. With that being said, let's go right into the deck. This right here, guys, is the core of the deck. I don't even know how many cards, but this is the core of the deck right here. And everything else I'm going to be showing you is going to be filler. So for the core of the deck, we have 4 Shadows of Chronos, 1 blue. Treat water magic stones you control as a darkness magic stone. Water magic stones you control gain produce darkness. Or, second ability, tap, look at the top card of your deck. You may put it into your graveyard. 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. Next up, we have for darkness, we have 1 cost Leia, Maiden of the Swamps. It is a 1 cost 0-200. When this card is put into the graveyard from the field, search your Magic Stone deck for a card named Darkness Magic Stone and put it into the field, then shuffle your Magic Stone deck. 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. Sacrificial Altar has to go with Leia. Or sorry, our color Layla. We have 4 of these. Banish a Resonator, put an offer counter on this card. Banish this card, search your deck for a Resonator with total cost of X or less and put it into the field, where X is the number of offerings counters that were on this card. Then shuffle your deck. 4 of these to help with Leia and sacrificing Leia. Then we have the big guy, which is why we want to have stone ramping and we want to have darkness stones. And we want to have this guy right here to be able to at least pay 1 darkness. Perfect Loki, High God Resonator, 800, 100, 1 blue, 1 darkness. This card gains 0-100 for each card in your graveyard. It is a quick cast. Love it. Second ability, enter. J Resonators your opponent controls gain 0-X 0-0 until the end of the turn. Until the end of the turn, where X is the number of cards in your graveyard. That enter ability is huge. It is essentially a field wipe for your opponent. As your J Ruler enters the field, if it is Loki, Witch of Chaos, and you spend darkness to do judgment, you may reveal it. You may reveal this card from your hand and put it into the field on top of your J Ruler. Essentially, perfect Loki becomes J Ruler. Enter. Look at the top card of your deck. Put 1 from among them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. And once per turn, you may play an ability. So the way we've been playing it, and I might actually be wrong, is we've been actually doing both enter abilities because it says as you do judgment, as your J Ruler enters the field, you may put this card down. So essentially, you get both enter abilities. That's the way Damon and I rationalize it. And if we're wrong on this, please leave a comment below. So we're going to be getting Divinity of Infinity, and that will let us play the, the Ragnarok, which is in Divinity Infinity. Loki also gets Imperishable, and because he gets Imperishable, we're going to be having 1, 2, 3, 4 copies. So the way I've been playing this card is 2 ways. One is putting it on Judgment, and another way just simply paying the Resonator for its first enter ability, which is minus to the field, which is fantastic. 4 of those, and finally, we have Loki's Lapdog, and it's his final form. Now, again, this card, we're pretty much always going to be cheating it in, and the way to cheat it in is going to be with Loki, from the fact that, I like his second ability. Look at the top 10 cards of your deck. Put one from among them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. And once per turn, you may play a card from your graveyard. Loki's final form. When this card is put into the graveyard from your deck, put it into your hand. If your jailer is perfect Loki, put this card into the field instead. Remove this card in your hand from the game, produce darkness, spend this only to do judgment of the card named Loki. Now, because we're running darkness magic stones, you're never going to have to do his produce darkness ability, but just in case, you have 4 of them. And like I said, I always love bringing him out with Loki. Now, that is the main of the deck. This right here is the core of the deck. Everything else is literally going to be filler. And I just threw in cards that I like. First of all, just because we're running blue, let's have Erendite, the Nitrogen Blade. The reason why I use this instead of Keys of Skull is because I wanted to try to keep this deck in New Valhalla format, and we have 3 of these, just because why not? The rest is literally garbage, guys. I'll be honest with you. I just threw in cards that I like, and just to mostly annoy my opponent. I threw in 3 Returns of God. These are kind of iffy at best. I mean, it's a cheap 2 cost to be able to get any Resonator out, essentially, because we're going to be stone ramping. I'm going to be able to get any Resonator in my deck, and the biggest one being the Lapdog. So 3 of these. We have 1 in the Rune area. Again, this can easily be switched out. Next card is purely for amusement and annoy my opponent. I have 4, and 3 in gorgeous full art. We have Athenia, Sealed God of the Ruins, 1200, 1000. 5 cost, 2 darkness, 3 colorless. Enter. Your opponent banishes a Resonator. If they don't, to banish Magic Stone. When this card is put into the graveyard from the field, your opponent banishes a non-jailer entity. Again, works fantastic well with Sacrificial Altar. And tap Resonators your opponent controls, gain -2/-2 until the end of the turn. If there are 4 or more runes revealed from your Rune area, your opponent's Resonator gain -4/-4. This works extremely well with perfect Loki's field ability, like the blanket ability. 4 of these just to annoy your opponent. Next up, just purely for more annoyment, like more of annoying your opponent, I have 4 Jeanne d'Arcs, Mad Maiden, and gorgeous full art. This is probably one of my favorite full art cards. This card gains swiftness, and this card cannot be destroyed as long as you control 3 or more J Resonators. This, if you have it on the field, works fantastically well with some of the giants that require you to destroy a Resonator. So, have this on the field, and as you play the giants, fantastic. You target this one, she cannot be destroyed. Bam. One of the reasons why I threw 4 of them in the deck. This is kind of an iffy card. I'm tempted to lean towards you want to have it, but at the same time, it's too hard darkness. So it's kind of iffy. 4 of those. Next up, we have 4 Astemas, the Returning of Hatred. 2 darkness, 1 colorless. Enter. Your opponent loses 500 health. If there are 3 or more runes revealed from your Rune area, you gain 500 life. Pay 400 life, draw a card, play this ability only during your turn and only once per turn. Pay 1000 life, your opponent loses 500 health, play this ability only during your turn and only once per turn. 3 of these and gorgeous full art. And since I really like these, I like this card a lot and I like Athenia. So with the new set DBV, I said, you know what? One of my favorite Resonators / rulers of all time, I had to throw it in there. And I threw in Lucifer. It works with Astema. I mean, if I pay life, this guy's just like, nah, you're gonna get it all back. 2 darkness, 1 colorless, 700, 900. Resonator with flying. Pay 1000 life. This card gains 200 until the end of the turn. Pay 2 darkness, 1 colorless. Pay 1000 life. Discard a card. Put this card from your graveyard into the field. We're never going to be playing this ability. Why? Because of Perfect Loki lets us play cards from the graveyard. At the end of your turn, gain life equal to the amount of life you lost this turn. That end ability works really well with Astema and with anything where you lose life. that's it. That's the deck, guys. It was nice and quick, and I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile. If you did, please leave a comment below. As always, leave a comment below suggesting stuff that I can throw into the deck. I mean, there's a lot. There's Life-Severing Blades, there's Look of Corruptions. I can go and be really annoying and make my opponent discard as well. But you know what? I'll leave the latter half of the deck up to you guys to give me suggestions on. For now, this was Nova, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.